The Bone Mountains. Even Lammas Longstrider, fearless traveler, lost heart at the sight of them. Wise man from Kohor to Karf keeps saying, 1,000 roads lead into the bones, but only 3 lead out. And that is the ultimate truth of the region, since there are indeed hundreds of footpaths, game trails, and gold tracks, and in certain places even an ancient carved steps and hidden tunnels. Some of those paths, though, are nothing but traps made by a wild man of the bones, and those are the real dead-end roads, not the ones that end with impassable obstruction. A part of the saying about only 3 roads leading out is a harsh reality of armies, trading caravans, and men traveling alone, who are in need of crossing the bones. Even along these 3 well-traveled routes there are lots of dangers capable of destroying entire army. Thus, safe passage comes at a price, and it is to be paid to 3 mighty fortress cities, last remnants of the once great Patrimony of Hyrkoon, Bayasabhad, the city of serpents, Samiryana, and Kayanaya. The Patrimony of Hyrkoon was an ancient nation that flourished to the east of the Bone Mountains, and 3 fortress cities began as true forts, raised up by the patriarchs to guard the western marches of their realm. However, whilst Hyrkoon itself slowly died out as its lakes and rivers dried away, and lands turned to desert, the 3 forts grew into cities. Today the great sand sea covers once fertile lands of a great realm. No people left to live in that boiling hot area. Though, as there is no water, nothing can really boil in there, except for the blood of the unwary travelers. Thus, deserted forts and towns are left baking beneath the murderous sun. 3 cities, and in according to some accounts 4th, Asabhad, are all ruled by the Great Fathers, praying to their cruel gods. They father daughters who are then raised as warriors. Those girls learn to fight, climb, and ride before they learn to walk, and famous traveler Lammas Longstrider himself admitted that he had not seen fiercer fighters on all the earth. It has been reported that warrior women of the remnants of Patrimony of Hyrkoon bare their breasts, wear iron rings in their nipples, and rubies in their cheeks. There are many speculations on the roots of these strange customs of raising women as warriors and crippling the male descendants. Scarce is known, except that they possibly originated in the patrimony even before the dry times. Some say that thus it came to be out of the belief that only those who give birth are permitted to take life at will. Though perhaps these customs are somehow related to a savage border wars Patrimony fought with the Jogos Nhai to their east. This enmity survives into the present, however, with Jogos Nhai Jatars leading attacks on Kayanaya. As for the brothers of the warrior women, the sons of the Great Fathers, 99 of every 100 are gelded upon reaching certain age, and live the rest of their lives as eunuchs, serving their cities as servants, scribes, priests, farmers, scholars, cooks, and craftsmen. Only the most gifted of them are permitted to mature and breed. Through time, they become great fathers themselves. The Steel Road is named after the many battles which have occurred in its vicinity. It originates in Waste of Rock, from which fur-clad warriors escorting caravans pass bones by riding over swaying bridges and through underground passageways near the Krazaaj Zasqa, meaning White Mountains in the Dothraki language, to the city of Kayanaya, whose walls are black basalt, black iron, and yellow bone. The Stone Road begins its mountainous streak from the ruins of Yenishar, called Ways-Jini, city of goats by the horse lords. It was inhabited by people related to those of Samiryana back in the days, but when the Dothraki came, they left only ruins. The Stone Road then passes beneath the walls of Samiryana itself, a grey stone city carved into the very rock of the bones. Far south of these, the Sand Road runs north from Karf through the desert of the Red Waste, and next heads east through the southern bones, sometimes called as the Dry Bones for the scarcity of water, to the fortress city of Bayasabhad. The Patrimony of Hyrkoon is presumably connected with Hyrkoon the Hero, another name for the legendary figure most commonly known as Azor Ahai, and great fathers appear to claim descent from him. The bones might seem a desolated place to those who do not know them, yet they have been home to many strange creatures over the centuries. Northern part of Krazaaj Zasqa, for instance, was home to the Jogwin, the stone giants, creatures twice as large as the giants of Westeros. Those parts of White Mountains still keep their name, Realm of Jogwin. Stone giants died out 1,000 years ago, yet people who encountered their bones from time to time keep stirring up old stories of them. The ancestors of the Dothraki crossed the bones at some point, leaving behind the very name of the mountains, their bones. The stories they tell their children do not agree on what caused them to take such a treacherous journey, leaving their lives behind. For sure it was something dreadful, since they were willing to sacrifice part of their own kin to the mountain roads in order to survive as a tribe. Yet apparently some of their kin decided to stay on the east side of the mountain range. The Jogos Nhai are a nomadic people, mounted warriors who live in yurts, and are, as a rule, a head shorter than the Dothraki. They are described as squat, bow-legged, and swarthy, with large heads and small faces. Men and women both have pointed skulls, a result of the custom of binding the heads of their newborn during the first 2 years of life. They are proud and restless, similar to the Dothraki in that way, but whilst Dothraki warriors pride themselves on the length of their braid, the men of the Jogos Nhai shave their heads but for a single strip of hair down the center of the skull. Their women go wholly bald and also scrape all the hair from their female parts as well. The Jogos Nhai are also renowned for their zorses. These mounts are the result of breeding horses with another horse-like species from the southern region of Iti and the Isle of Leng. Since the plains east of the bones are drier and less fertile than the Dothraki Sea, zorses are significantly smaller than the fiery steeds of the Dothraki, but tougher. Jogos Nhai travel in small bands closely connected by blood. Each one is commanded by a Chhat, or war chief, and a moonsinger, who combines the roles of priestess, healer, and judge. The Chhat leads in war, battle, and raid, whereas other matters are ruled by the band's moonsinger. There are also female Chhats and male moonsingers, but girls who choose the warrior's way are expected to dress and live as men, whereas boys who choose to become moonsingers must dress and live as women, making it difficult to tell apart when such cases take place. Unlike the Dothraki Khalasars, Jogos Nhai's band do not make war upon one another, as their gods forbid them to shed the blood of their own people. Young men do ride out to steal goats, horses, and dogs from other bands, while girls go forth to abduct husbands, but these are rituals hallowed by the gods, during which no blood may be shed. However, the Jogos Nhai do live in a perpetual state of warfare against all their neighbors. They carried out constant attacks upon Khai, reducing the once proud kingdom to a single city, Nefer, and its hinterlands. Nefer is referred to by travelers as the Secret City, as it is said that 9/10 of the city is located beneath the ground. City enjoys a sinister reputation as a haunt of necromancers, and is the only known northern port east of the bones. Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake, was the first Westerosi to reach the shores of Anghai, and he is known to have visited Nefer as well. Hordes of squat Jogos Nhai on their horses destroyed the stone giants of Jogwin. According to legend, the Chhat of Chats, Karak Squintai, led the great Chatar into the glorious battle. Even the Golden Empire of Iti have been target of the Jogos Nhai. Raids into the empire are a way of life for the Zorse riders, and the source of the gold and gems that decor the arms and necks of moonsingers and Chhats, as well as of the slaves that serve them and tend their herds. Over the past 2,000 years, Yiddish cities, towns, farms, and fields beyond count have been reduced to ruins and ashes. Many imperial generals and free god emperors have led armies to bring the nomads to heal, but have seldom ended well, and soon the raids began anew, even though Chhats were compelled to vow eternal fealty to the god emperor, and forswear raiding forever. The 42nd Scarlet Emperor of Iti, Lohan, led 3 such invasions of the plains, yet by the time of his death, the Jogos Nhai carried out even bolder raids than when he began his reign. His successor, Lobu, determined to end the threat of the nomads for all time, assembled a mighty host, said to be 300,000 strong, and crossed the borders of the empire with slaughter as his only purpose. Tributes, hostages, oaths of fealty, or offerings of peace failed to sway him and his vast army from sweeping the plains, leaving behind a burning wasteland. When the nomads resorted to their traditional tactic of melting away at the approach of the army, Lobu divided his host into 13 smaller armies and sent them forth in all directions to hunt down the Zorse riders. History tells 1,000,000 Jogos Nhai died at their hands. Under the threat of the extinction, the rival clans of Jogos Nhai did the unimaginable, unified under Chatar Ajea, a woman in man's mail, remembered as Jea the Baron, Jea Azor's Face, and Jea the Cruel. In the period of 2 years, she isolated each of Lobu's 13 armies, slew their scouts and foragers, starved them, denied them water, and led them into wastelands and traps, thus destroying each army one by one. Finally, her riders fell on Lobu's own host and carried out a slaughter so terrible that every stream for 20 leagues around was choked in blood. Among the slain was Lobu himself, whose skull was stripped of flesh and dipped in gold, becoming Jea's drinking cup. Ever since, every Chatar on the Jogos Nhai has drunk fermented Zor's milk from the gilded skull of the boy too bold by half, as Lobu is remembered. Prior to the dry times, the Jogos Nhai were involved in a bloody border war with the Patrimony of Hyrkoon that saw the Zor's riders poisoning rivers and wells, burning down towns and cities, and carrying off thousands into slavery. The Hyrkoon, for their part, sacrificed tens of thousands of Jogos Nhai to their dark gods. Thus, the enmity between the Zor's riders and the warrior women of the Bone Mountains runs deep into the present, and over the centuries dozens of Chatars have led armies up the Steel Road and broken against the walls of Kayakanaya. Nevertheless, the Moonsingers sing of the glorious day when the Jogos Nhai will prevail over the remnants of Hyrkoon and spill over the mountains to claim the fertile lands beyond. If they succeed, who shall stop them? The Fraki once managed to do so, and they swept grasslands like a scythe, and they were scarce compared to Jogos Nhai. Till then, warrior women guard western realms from the monsters of the east. The gods of once mighty Patrimony of Hyrkoon may be cruel, but if only those prosperous kingdoms of the west with their jolly gods knew whom they owe their lives, they might find cruel gods effective, after all. Thank you for watching. See ya!